Awesome. Sounds good. So, my name is Chase Farris. I'm currently the offensive line coach here at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. I'll cover a little bit more about what our institution is, what makes us different. But kind of today, I kind of want to talk about, this is only my second ever kind of clinic thing I've ever done. So I kind of want to be a little different in it. One of the best ones I've ever watched was the O-line coach at Huntington College down in Alabama gave one about how they practice. And I thought that was a really good one because obviously, as you guys know, you guys watch these online, you go to them in person. Like offensive line coaches talk about the same 3 to 4 things, it feels like. They talk about inside zone, they talk about power, they talk about whatever it might be. So kind of just want to talk about something a little different that I think everyone can get out of, regardless if you coach offensive line, receivers, quarterbacks, whatever position you might coach on the offense side. If you're a head coach and you're maybe not as in tune with your offense side of the ball, whatever it might be, that I think everyone from college to high school coaching can take away. So, just some of the stuff. I'll talk about my background a little bit, where I've been, information about Rose-Hulman. I'll talk about our weekly schedule, both line, and then we'll talk about how we build our protection plan weekly, with how we break down the film, what we look for in our offensive meeting about what we want to look for protection, scout report information, and then also a thing I did this year for the first time was run some huddle reports. So that's something I got from actually our defensive coaches. I know it's a little bit more of a defensive thing from my experience so far coaching, but I felt like it was good, just another way for you to look at all the data and so forth, right? So a little bit about me. Like obviously, I'm currently at Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology. I've been here since the spring of 2023, where I've coached the offensive line. I recruit Central Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Pennsylvania, and the Northeast Coast. So our offensive coordinator, Coach Skiba, recruits the state of Ohio. So I know obviously this might be a little bit more centered towards Ohio coaches. So if you guys know any guys that are wanting to study engineering, obviously make sure you hit up obviously me or Coach Skiba, as we probably be the big 2 main points of contact for recruitment out of the state of Ohio. Prior to that, I spent a year at Anderson University in Anderson, Indiana, same conference as Rose-Hulman, where I was there for the 2022. Gave me an opportunity to be an offensive line coach at 22 years old, fresh out, and I'll forever be indebted to him. Sadly, our time at Anderson was a little short. We were unfortunately, he was let go in the middle of the year. Really welcome to college football for sure. But I got a great opportunity to come to Rose-Hulman from there. Prior to that, I was a player at Center College in Danville, Kentucky, from 2019 to the fall of 2021, and then got an opportunity to be a student coach. My last semester there really helped me get a head start on it, and I think that has obviously helped me get a leg up on people, relatively the same age as me, and even obviously some people older than me that's been coaching longer. I feel like I learned a lot in 6 months from being around the coaches I played for, and I'm very, very fortunate for that. About Rose-Hulman, we're an all-engineering computer science school. We are the #1 undergraduate engineering school in the country. We've been that for 26 years. So our big thing is we're trying to get guys graduated an engineering degree and go get a job in 4 years. Where there's a lot of other great engineering schools in the country that might take 4.5, 5 years. Obviously, in the state of Indiana, Purdue is a big competitor for us, both as an institution and obviously for guys deciding if they want to play football or not, or just go to Purdue. Their engineering program takes 5 years to graduate. So that's a big thing for us. It allows us to get guys, and we give them hands-on experience in the classroom, and get them prepared, get them internships, and get them out here and go get a great job and so forth. We're located in Terre Haute, Indiana. We're right down the road from Indiana State. There's about 60,000 people in Terre Haute. There's 3 colleges in town. There's us, Indiana State, and St. Mary's of the Woods. So it's a true college town in that sense, where it has everything you need. And so forth. And one of the nice things about where Terre Haute is located is while we're in a smaller town per se, we're within a day's drive of a lot of major cities. So it's really nice, especially just being about an hour west of Indy. We got guys from 27 different states on our roster. So those guys from California, Texas, Arizona, New Jersey, whatever it might be, they need to fly in. Obviously, they're about a 50-minute drive from the airport, and so forth. So we've been very fortunate. We've been able to have success, obviously, in the classroom and on the field. We've won 13 conference championships over our history, most recently in 2021, but we've competed for that conference championship every year since. So within the last 10 years, I believe we have finished top 2, 8 of the last 10 years. So very, very fortunate in that sense. Just want to throw this up. Obviously, got anybody? The biggest thing that separates us from other high academic schools is you are required to take biology, chemistry, physics, and 4 years of math to be admitted into Rose-Hulman. So obviously, we're looking for very, very smart kids, but we're looking for smart kids that are passionate about engineering that have obviously met these requirements. So if you got anybody, any high school coaches watching this, please send them our way. We'd love to recruit them. Sweet. Kind of getting to the actual content of it. Obviously, as I talked a little bit about Rose, kind of our weekly schedule. So we have about 110 guys on our roster, and all 110 either major in computer science or engineering. So they are in a very rigorous academic schedule. So our biggest thing is we want to be as efficient as possible with our time. So overview of our entire week. So obviously we play our games on Saturday. We're very fortunate where we're located that we don't have a lot of travel and long distance. Our furthest conference game is about 3.5 hours away. So even when we're on the road, our guys get to go do homework, whatever they need to be with their own time. We practice on Sunday. Practice is very loose, but we bring them in on Sunday where we, as a coaching staff, we watch the game first, and then we'll watch it with the guys. And then after we go out and practice, we're in helmets only. It's very, very more just getting the body moving, routes on air, some other stuff we'll talk about that I do with the O-line, and so forth. After that, we'll come back in as a coaching staff, and we'll start previewing the next opponent, kind of just buzzing through their previous game from the day before. There's not a lot of, obviously, breakdown data from that game in yet, so we just watch it on a base level, just kind of seeing things, talking about the historical of playing these guys, things along those lines. Monday, that's our players' day off, so we found that's great for us because a lot of schools do Sunday. If you do Sunday, no professors, other students may not be on campus, so if you need to meet with your professor, you need to do a group project, Sundays may not be a great day for it, whereas Monday, professors are on campus, students are on campus, and so forth, right? So our players, they get from Sunday at 3 o'clock off till Tuesday at 5 o'clock for scouting report. So they get a true almost day and a half where if, they had from 9 to 5 on Monday or 9 p.m. on Saturday to 5 p.m. on Monday, they may not be as productive with their time, where we found the Monday day off is big for them for academic reasons. And that one, as a coaching staff, we do a bulk of our game planning. So we come in and we'll start with our protection plan, which I'll talk about in depth, and then we do our normal down stuff. So we watch it by formation, first and second down by field position, and kind of roll into our base game plan. Tuesday, we do our scouting report meeting at 5 o'clock. We practice at 5:50 in full pads. Tuesdays mornings, we also start and get on red zone and goal line and breaking that down for our game plan. So by Tuesday at 5 o'clock, we have obviously all of our normal downs. We have all the information for our scouting report done. And then also we have a preview ready to talk about red zone and stuff on Wednesday with the guys. Wednesday, 5 o'clock meeting, 5:45 practice. So Tuesdays, we practice 5 minutes less. We meet 5 more minutes. Wednesdays, we meet 5 minutes less to get 5 more minutes on the field. But we normally start at 5:45 or 5:50 most days, and we're done by 7:30 at the latest. So we have to be really efficient with our time, maybe getting a 30-minute meeting, the 40-minute meeting some days, and then also only getting about an hour and a half of practice. So trying to be as efficient as possible with their time so our guys can get what they need football-wise, and go execute, get better at practice, but also go and do homework and go be an engineer, right? So Tuesdays we're full. Wednesday we tend to be an uppers or full, just kind of depending on the week and what kind of the captains want to do. Thursday, same operation. Helmets or uppers, depending on what the guys want to do. Talking with our captains, kind of how the flow of the season's going, time of the year. And then Friday, we're our run through helmets only operation. Pretty short meeting, get the guys in, get out. If we got to travel, do an overnight, we'll leave after practice. But we very rarely, we maybe do one overnight a year. So we're very lucky in that sense. From an O-line perspective each day. On Sundays, when we go out there and do it, we'll do corrections, any critical errors from the day before a game, common fundamentals, and then I'll bring out a binder and I'll have common twists and blitzes, and that'll be normally a big young freshman, sophomore like that. Monday, like I mentioned, there's day off. That's where we'll build our protection plan and game plan. Tuesdays, our scouting report. After our scouting report, we'll typically have about a 10-minute meeting where it'll be the O-line, quarterbacks, and receivers, and we'll just start buzzing through the pressure cut, watching the most common pressures, the things that are most critical, so all three of those position groups can obviously see it through the same eyes. During practice, we'll do a 5 to 10 minute period of blitz pickup, and we'll try to hit the most common pressures that team is going to bring that week that we found from our cut up. And that'll be a big ones and twos emphasis on Tuesday, especially making sure that we're hammering our protection plan for the week and seeing those most common blitzes. Wednesday, we'll obviously review Tuesday practice, and then obviously I'll preview third down and red zone with the guys. So in that cut up, I'll make a cut up each meeting just because I have limited time. I'll try to have maybe 10 to 15 clips. And typically what it'll be 8 plays from practice, 4 plays from film review, right? For, hey, guys, this is the different look they give us on third down. This is the pressure they bring on third down. This is a different front critical information possible. Wednesday, we'll typically do a little bit longer of a blitz pickup period during practice, and we'll get to more of the exotic pressures, right? So we'll obviously still hit the most common ones, the 1 and 2 that will obviously get the highest percentage that they've shown, but now we might be doing the more exotic ones that they might bring one time in our 4-game breakdown. Thursday, same deal. Make a cut up of Wednesday practice and other pressures and looks. So normally by Wednesday, most of our game planning is done. And Thursday during the day, I'll obviously get a jump on next week's opponent, but I like to throw a live stream of the team we're playing, of a game we did not break down, or watch if we have it on Huddle, obviously, of a game we didn't break down, just watching it. And then obviously if I see any different pressures or different looks that was not in our breakdown, I'll make sure I add that and show that to the guys in the meeting and draw up anything we need to draw up and so forth. Friday in our meeting, this is something I got from our defensive coordinator. He does it with our whole defense, but I'll throw the live stream of our opponent's most previous game and just kind of let it run and watch a little bit of the series. That'll help the guys see kind of the more flow of it, see transition, kind of help some of that stuff to see it. And I've noticed the guys, and they'll start talking through it as well while we're watching it, and they'll start picking up on tells that they didn't maybe see from watching the Huddle film or from information that I maybe didn't give them during the week, right? Sweet. The breakdown data. So right here is kind of how we identify the box in our breakdown. So it's as simple as we tag 2 numbers. The first number is the first level defenders. The second number is the second level defender in that sense, right? So in this top left, right, we have a 4-3 box. You got 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers in the box, and so forth. Right, bottom right, you got 33, 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers. And then we have our tags with it, right? So it might be a 43 over, right? That just tells us that we got 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, and it's an even, and so forth, right? The different tags that we do it. Right, just kind of how this is how it kind of looks, and you'll see I have a snippet of the actual breakdown information, right? But like top left here, right, we got 43 odd Sam up, right? So we got 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers. The Sam is up, right? So it just helps some of that stuff, 52 odd, and so forth, and it kind of having some of those tags. So blitzes, so we are pretty basic in the sense that we'll tag the blitzes by who the person blitzing is from the second level, and then if it's a letter, right, so if it's MA, right, that's the Mike blitzing to the A gap to the field. If it's Mike 1, M1, that is us telling us that he's blitzing to the boundary, right? So that just helps us that if you see a letter, as the second thing you know, it's a field pressure, you see a number, it helps it, you know quickly that it's a boundary pressure, right? And then we tag the pattern of it as well, right? So if we get 2 to a side, we'll tag that as stamp. We get 2, 1 in, 1 out, smack, whatever it might be. Backers in the A gap, bullets. They cross, right? Cross dogs. Simple things like that to help us. Obviously, we want to know who do they like, whoever it might be, but do they like bringing a certain pattern? It kind of helps us visualize it well as we're talking about our protection plan and so forth. Right here are just some common examples of it, right? A single linebacker, rusher, a dog, right? Simple SD, the Sam, or nickel, whatever it might be, coming off to the D gap, the furthest gap in the field, Mike A, roll 4, right? And then here's our multiple one stamp is the most common one we'll see. SD and B, right? Whatever it might be. This most common one here, right, is 2 to a side, outside of the end, and so forth. And then here's a snippet of it, right? So this is exactly from our breakdown data of what we break down each week, and so forth, right? So we have obviously a 2-minute, if there's a 2-minute situation, down distance, yard line, all that jazz. Formation. So we don't tag them in our formation. We just tag them in the generic formations of 3x1E ball, 2x2A, so forth. I like to tag the concepts. So it might just be as simple as sprint, and we do this for our self-scout information anyway. So whenever we use a game from the previous year, most of this information here is already broken down, right? So from formation, play concept, motion, FSL formation to the sideline, FIB is also another common, obviously, term for it. Field position, open and green zone are kind of the areas we look for in our normal down. Right, so middle of the field, stuff along those lines. The box, like we mentioned, 42, 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, even. Center's uncovered, under G, right? So they're playing it 2 wide of the field, and so forth, right? Rush ratio, 4 guys, done, whatever it might be, right? And then the coverage adjustment is something that we will do as well in the sense of, right, so defensive cover, they're playing cover 4. 4 lock for us is they're playing cover 4, and their corners are playing press man coverage. The 1+ here is another common one right here. So they're playing cover 1, but they're only rushing 4 guys, so they have an extra guy in coverage and cover, right? And that principle and so forth, right? So that's kind of the data we look at just in the breakdown, and kind of can buzz through it when we need it and such. And we use that obviously to help us get going on the protection, right? So protection meaning, right, so we make a pressure cut of all pressure. So we do that out of, we take the all broke, so all the games that we broke down, and we'll take it and we'll just sort it by rush ratio, and we'll pull 5 and 6-man rush ratio and so forth, and we'll make a cut up. We remove any bare fronts, obviously, so if they're in like a five down front and they just rush 5 D linemen, we're not going to consider that a pressure, and so forth, right? But we just want to know, or who are they bringing? Are they primarily a odd team bringing the middle guys, or the outside guys, so forth, right? So we'll make our cut up, and 5 or more is considered a pressure for us, right? Regardless of the situation of the field, down and distance stuff. We just want to see all the pressures that they've brought. The next thing is we like to identify who their best D lineman is. Is it their nose? Is it their 3-tech? Is it their field end, boundary end? Where does that guy line up? Because if we're playing a guy that can wreck the game, as a pass rusher, you better believe we're going to slide to him, right? So we'll change our entire protection plan to make sure that we account for that guy. So 4 years, and he grad transferred and played his 5th year this year at Purdue. So you better believe we slid to him every time we could in the 23 season whenever I was here going against him, right? So that would be a week we wouldn't tag a man side or slide side in the call when we're signaling the play, and the quarterback would just know, I got to find where number 2 is, or number 93, whatever number the guy might be, and then tell the O-line the corresponding man side, slide side from there. Right? We want to know, are they a field or a boundary pressure team? Do they like to bring their interior, exterior pressure team in the sense they like to bring bullets in the A or B gap? They like to bring guys off the edge, and so forth, right? So that might help us if they're an odd team know if we want to, how we want to sort it that week, and things along those lines for us when we're making the call sheet, knowing, hey, they're 95% field pressure team. Let's try to make sure we're sliding to the field on most of our normal drop back six down. Right, look at it by field position, down and distance, and we put all that information in. We call it the Bring It, which is a really good document we give our guys that just breaks down all the situations. I got a couple of them in here to show them and so forth. And then kind of something I do on my own, like I kind of mentioned, is showing the huddle reports. And I think that's a good way, another way to kind of do it, where you can share it with the guys, and you can see it, and you can click on it, and it takes you right to the clip. So, scouting report, right? So here's the bring it. This is from this year when we played Hope College up in Michigan. So you can see a ball down and distance, they pressured 25% of the time. Their top pressures, right? 5 or 6 man rush ratio, right? They like to bring their Sam. They brought the Sam off the field D gap 12 times. They brought the Will into the A 8 times, Mike into the A 8 times. So right here's same kind of pattern, right? Solo linebacker into the field A, just where, who it is, things along those lines. Like they brought 2 to a side, and then they brought cross dogs here, right? So that helps us, and the guys can see it another way there. The guys can see by down and distance, knowing that, right, this was a team, we stayed on schedule for the most part, right? The first and second downs, when we're on schedule, they're not pressuring. We get in obvious off-schedule situations, we knew they're going to dial us up. Short yardage situations, they're going to dial us up. So this just helped our guys visually also see it another way quickly of knowing, okay, I got to make sure I'm in a 2-point stance on 3rd and 10 versus and maybe getting a little bit further off the ball, things along those lines, and just another thing to harp on staying on schedule that week. And then we break down by field position. Coming out is the 10-yard and in, open is kind of the the kind of the 25 to 25 area, or forgive me, the 40 to 40, kind of that open area, strike, red zone, goal line, so forth, right? And then kind of by fronts, even odd. 4-man rush ratio, right? So this is one. We don't watch these in the pressure cut up, but we'll look at them separately normally, and that'll be something I like to watch with the guys too. Is if they're whenever they're bringing 4, right? They're bringing a pressure guy off the edge, but they're going to drop the boundary, whatever it might be, right? And then this is us drawing it up, right? Just kind of the different ones and so forth. Right, the Sam off the edge. So we give these guys, and then we'll have these out. I'll have these out on the field, right, kind of blown up in a binder, and having guys come up in line and run these and try to get them sorted away, right? So, like this bottom right here, this saw look here was one that we harped on a lot, right? Because we would make our 5-man check here, right? Our guys out because we know they're bringing Saul, they're bringing one off each side. So here is the drawing of the protection plan for this week versus Hope, right? So our hex hot is our 6-man protection. So the O-line comes up, we're a no huddle 11 personnel based team. They come up and they'll get a Hector or helix. As simple as that. Hector, R, right side is the man side, helix, L, left side is the man side. And they know if we get even front, we're Lou Ray 3-man slide away from the call, right? So on the man side, we'll always be 1-2 LOS, being big on big wherever they go, knowing that the center is most likely going to be the end of the rope on an even front. If anything crosses his face, you got to travel back with it. Quarterback knows that if he's he's going to be hot off 2 rusher to the call. So we're on the left hash. We've got the man side to the left. They bring in 2 guys off the left side. The quarterback's going to be hot off one of those defenders, so we don't have an extra guy there. Overcast, so that's our mechanic. We really don't do it a lot versus in our 6-man protection, but it's our way for our quarterback to switch to protection. So in this case, right, if we got an overcast, Ringo lucky away from ball, any 6-7-man pressure, right? So that's just stuff we run through and we communicate for what we want with those guys. And so, right, so we're going to River Lake away from the call, 1 to 2 to the call, our alert cross dogs, right, overcast, that's Ringo lucky away from the call versus any 6-man pressure. 5 down, fair, Arby's was our call. Arby's back in the day, you get 5 for 5. 5 roast beefs for $5. That was before my time. I heard it was a heck of a time to be alive. But that just tells us we're going to take the 5 down line in most cases. There are 5 guys on the line. Back would have any other one, same principle. I bet you it's going to pop up. But this week there was a crazy 7-man pressure that they brought Hope brought versus Ulman the 23 season that we were prepping for, but and so forth, right? So and then now our nickel or 5-man, we come up, our quarterback just says nickel. We would slide to the field this week, hot off 1 to the boundary, 2 to the field. If we were overcast, right, he would then could flip the protection, Linda Rita to any 1, right? So that's supposed to be a Linda Rita. That was a typo on the scouting report. and so forth, right? So, same deal, so 4-man sliding it, and same thing. So a lot of the times, you'll look at this, and I got another one on here from we played Mount St. Joe at the end of the year, that some weeks this information here from the even odd, or from the 6-man to 5-man, is going to be identical. Some weeks it might be different, right? So, in the sense we're 5-man and we want to slide in 4-man against whatever. So, I think this just helps us just lay it out so the guys know exactly what we're doing that week, and it helps them kind of, know exactly we're all on the same page over communicating it. So, we're all on the same page in that sense, right? So here's the pressure that I was talking about. So this is the crazy one that we had to prep. That they brought this one time each versus Alma. This is why we were going to overcast on some of our 6-man protection to try to hopefully pick up this nonsense. So, right, here's Mount St. Joe. So here's another one, right? The other bring it. Same principle, same material, just obviously knowing that based off of this game that we weren't maybe going to see as much pressure from these guys. That they were fine, they were feeling confident in their 4-down linemen, and so forth. Right, the pressure is pretty standard, right? Same stuff. Just kind of drawing them up each week for the guys. They get this in the scouting report. We run through these in blitz pickup every day, and watch the cut-ups of it as well. Right, the pro plan this week is we felt good against their odd structure to sort protection, right? So Mindy is one of our 2 sort protections. The I in Mindy tells the running back that he is going to block inside to inside. So we like Mindy versus any team that likes to bring edge pressure. So if they're an odd team and they like to rush the buck, the boundary DN, linebacker, hybrid guy, and then say the Sam off the field, we like Mindy because we're able to pick up the 5 most dangerous with our 5 offensive linemen. If it was a team that played true odd and they'll play a 0 and 2 5s and they like to bring bullets, we like to molly the back nose. He's outside to outside, and now we know those guards are going to set a little bit more vertical. I got a drawing of it here in a couple slides, but you can see even, right, Ray Lou away from the call, same as against Hope. Bear 5-down RBs back as any other one. 6 down, we're gonna squeeze essentially, full slide it back as C gap to the call, and so forth, right? So the biggest thing we like to talk about each week is if we want to how we want to handle odd fronts, right? So do we want to sort it that week? Do we want to 4-man slide it? Hope was a team that they twisted and they stunted a lot, and we did not feel comfortable putting our freshman center who was going to start that game on a 1-on-1 island with the nose tackle, right? This is the game he played. This is probably about his 5th or 6th actual start. By this time in the year against MSJ, we felt a lot better about it, and they were not 100% playing odd as some other teams we play, right? So we played DePaul, and they play at 0 the whole time. So just sorting that out to make sure that we're good, we feel comfortable about it, and so forth, right? But you can see here for the most part, everything is just making sure that the overcast stuff each week we're good with the quarterback, and we lay it out for him and lay it out for the offensive line and running back. So there is no confusion whatsoever on it. Sweet. So here are a couple of the huddle reports that I run. So you can see a lot of this is the same information that we see, and you can watch by the cut-ups and such. But I very much like this personally myself looking at it, because then it can show me what I'm looking for. I will print this out and I'll look at it and kind of just buzz through it itself, and it helps me see it. So I'll do one like this one. This is from the pressure. So this is from the MSJ game where we just took all the clips of the 5-man rush ratio plus, and it's told me that on first and 10 plus, they pressured out of odd one time, and they brought Saul. And they were even. They brought the will off the boundary edge. So this just helped me see it. And, when you're actually on huddle, this is the screenshot of it. You can click on these counts, and I can go, and it'll make the cut up for me essentially right then and there. So that's nice and an easier way than having to hit, the 17 different buttons on huddle and so forth, where you do this one time, and I save this, and I share this with the O-line each week to show them, and they can look at it at their own will. Here's one for the normal down. So, right, same thing they'll sort it by formation, down and distance, the defensive front, adjustment, rush ratio, blitz, the total count of it, percentage, so forth, right? So, this just another way, right, just helps me. So this will show me, especially because the pressures will just obviously be all the 5 or plus. This will help me see the actual true percentage by formation and field position and things like that. That helps me kind of visualize and make sure that I'm getting the right information to then translate it to the offensive line. Sweet. Miscellaneous kind of stuff. So here's some of the drawings of it, right? So right here, right, Lou Ray, 3-man slide opposite the call, center is the end of the rope. So in this case here, right, we're on a right call here. So we got our Lou, right guard and right tackle. They're going to be 1-2 LOS, so that they're blocking the guy's head up to their play side. Tells them if they're obviously big on big, but we just know that 1-2 LOS kind of clears it up because if that guy's a 2-eye, a 2, a 3, whatever, it kind of helps that guard know that he got to be big on big with that guy wherever he goes. And then the end of the rope, kind of that thought that his nose crosses face, that center needs to travel back with them. Other than that, you should never, have to travel back for a gap ABC slide protection team to it. Ray, same principle. Right here is a, Lake River 4-man slide opposite the call. Place that guard is the end of the rope. So here on right call, right, there could still be a Lou, and this is how I kind of teach it to the young guys. We come up, and if we get a 4-down front, even front, that center is going to call Ray Lou the whole time until kind of we can understand it, because kind of the end of the rope can kind of confuse them at times with it here. But probably should have drawn this up, and I have it drawn up against an odd front. That's probably better to see versus that, because that makes it a little bit more clear where the guard's actually the end of the rope. Lucky Ringo full slide, and the rope is relative to the protection, right? So we do not have to worry about turning back against this unless we get X amount of guys turning back or done back that way per se, because we should have either the back is going to be the end of the rope, the tight end in the back, right shot pro, whatever it might be for us. Fibers mugged up, and so forth, right? So we're just big on big, especially with this. We just got to make sure we're good, especially like this. Look here to the bottom right. Just being ready for pick stunts and things like that. Our defense twists and moves a lot, so we get a lot of work against them good on good during Indy, which helps us in general. It helps everybody involved, right? It helps them run their stunts. It helps us pick up their stunts and pressures and things along those lines. So here's Molly and Mindy drawings, right? So we tell them pretty much week to week which way we want to, if we want to be a Molly or a Mindy team, what our base kind of rules. If we make a Molly call with open B gaps, we make our Mindy call with closed B gaps. So in a Molly here, the top left, our center is not necessarily one-on-one, right? Because these guards are going to set vertical and in. So if this guy, if the nose slants one way or the other, he's helping them. The tackles are one-on-one in these situations, knowing that they're big on big, and so forth. In the Mindy, the center is on an island, and these guys knowing that they got any kind of most dangerous off of it, right? So we're going to pick up the 5 most dangerous that way, right? So same deal. We might be on if this Will walks up here, right, we're going to take the 5 most dangerous and so forth, right? And then here are kind of some of the rule breakers to it. So our defense like to get in an overload front quite often against us. So they'll like to get an overload front, and then they just like to, bring everyone away. So this helps us, right? We just check to a Molly because the Molly and Mindy sorting things helps us, so we don't have to be as specific as a play caller, making sure the man side, slide side is squared away, right? So we can be on a right or a left call here, and we're going to make our Molly call. We're going to be on a right or a left call here, and we're going to be on our Mindy call. And it'll sort out the same, right? The only thing that may be different is obviously where the back is going to naturally start as alignment and go from. But kind of same thing here, because this is kind of the biggest thing, especially with our guys, if we come up here and we if we were on a left call, next thing you know, the center is going to just set, and this nose would just come instead of just understanding the principle of it. So whenever I told them, hey, we're just going to Molly and overload front, it kind of clicked in their head a lot cleaner. But pretty much of it. So here is week, I believe we Mindied it. So our center here is on an island. Tackle 65 does a good job of kind of communicating the out call. Pick it up. Back does a good job here coming. good cut on the interior, and this was a big play for us early in the game. So we're right here, right? We're against a 3-3 box, odd front, Mindy, center's big on big, back has inside to inside. We got any off the edge pressures. Here's us versus Hope. So here, you'll see pretty quickly here, this was the week we saw the pro plan. We're going to 4-man slide it here. So we works it out and so forth, right? So we didn't love the Mindy against these guys because they were a really physical D-line, and we were starting a freshman center, but also they twisted and stunted a lot. So that's kind of the vulnerability of a Mindy is your center's on an island, so he can get picked and things along those lines. Here's us against a solid here. Buck up, right, Mindy. So here we come up, whatever call we're on. Here we're on a Hector, right? So we come up Mindy, out. So we're setting here, big on big, setting out, and so forth. Back has inside to inside. So you can see here, good protection, sorting it up. Should be coming to pick up number 10, and so forth. Here's one from 2 years ago. We're on a array here as well. Just knowing that we have 1-2 to the slide. So 73 does a good job here. Not chasing too much, coming back, sorting it up, and giving the quarterback plenty of time. This was also an express, so one of our one-word calls that we have base rules for. Normally we slide to the field on all of our one-word play calls. Sweet, Coach. There's my contact information. If anybody has any questions, I can answer some of your questions right now for you, too. I would say.
All right, Coach. I got a couple DM to me, and I got somebody's on YouTube chat. You know how that goes. And there's I got one in the YouTube chat as well. So the YouTube chat question, what does install look like first year? Is there typical chat when you? Because again, you guys have been there for a while. Your systems obviously grow and modify. I mean, we all know that. But year one, when you're as an O-line coach, what are your typical challenges or delays when you're going through all the? Again, I know you have pretty high academic kids, but going through this process.
Yeah, definitely I think the hardest thing that I noticed, and one thing that made me a great coach, or not a great coach, but a better coach being at Rose than other places I've coached, is our defense just does a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? So we've naturally, I think whenever you build a structure, you got to first look at what does teams in your conference do, and then you kind of got to look at what does your defense do. You got to have some built-in answers. Obviously, you're not trying to scheme up to beat your defense, right? You're trying to beat the team playing on Saturdays afternoons, but also if you don't have any success in practice against your defense, you're probably not going to have a lot of confidence going in games and things like that. So kind of the way that I know that kind of broad to it or whatever, but I think obviously I'm very fortunate in the sense that I go against the defense coordinator as the maniac, and he brings different pressures and things along those lines that I know I got to make checks. I got to volley whenever we go into an overload front versus whatever it might be, right? So based off our install, we install our 6-man protection day one. And whenever we install 6-man, we install it with Ray Lou into it, the slide, right, 3-man slide away from the call, and then our mini and our molly protection. And we kind of have we practice it and get the reps during training camp and spring ball. If we get 2 true 5s, we're going to molly it. If we get 2 4-eyes, we're going to Mindy it. That way we can bank some reps, even if we only carry a Mindy or a molly into the game on Saturdays in the fall. It's going to be that sense. So, yeah, I hope that kind of answered it. Obviously, preparing, I think, to build your system. We live by the bucket system, so we try to have everything fit into a bucket. So, whether that's, we have our inside zone as one thing, we have our run adjustments as one thing. So all of our other run adjustments got to kind of fit into that verbiage of it. So all of our bubbles have an O word in it. So we run inside zone with the bubble. It's going to be tight is our inside zone. Run, toss is our bubble with it. Gap is our duo run. Goop is our bubble duo, right? So we try to build the buckets in that sense to help the learning process that way. What the guys do.
Okay. Now, I mean, my question is as I'm listening to this, because I know you mentioned meeting time, and again, that's something. Again, Southern schools get a little bit more than we do because obviously they have athletic periods and all that jazz. Whereas you get to the Midwest, you may or may not have a like strength training period or extra time somewhere, whatever. So there's that. But I'm looking at it from a practice perspective. How much indie time? Again, I know all your kids are one way, but from application standpoint, how much indie time do you guys kind of get? And so forth.
Yeah, can you see this? Yep. I almost included some of that. This is our MSG. So this is our Tuesday practice. So we have an 85-minute period, 85-minute practice on a Tuesday. We start out Sport Team Block Team Live. Here we did 10 minutes of blitz pickup. I had probably 5 minutes of true indie. Where I worked on pulls that week, and then I feel like it's a lot more valuable. And this was also weird. We got banged up towards the end and did a little more good on good. So versus going true split scout. So this might be even more applicable to high. But I spent 10 of it on blitz pickup with quarterbacks and running back, and I spent 10 of it with the O-line and D-line together doing crossover training stuff. So doing one-on-ones, doing twist pickup, things along those lines. And then we got 20 minutes of emphasis and so forth. So our practices, that's a Tuesday. Here's our Wednesday. Here I'll get a little bit more indie time, but I like to spend at least 10 minutes doing crossover work with the defense. I just feel like, doing full speed reps in that way help trains it a little bit better than doing obviously having an offensive lineman as a defender, right? So yeah. But yeah, this is kind of the same structure. Here's Hope from earlier in the year, kind of same thing. 10 minutes of blitz pickup, 10 minutes of everyday drills, 10 minutes of zone work. So. This is a 95-minute practice. So this is from the third game of the year, versus obviously this is the last week of the year. So this was 100 minutes versus 85 towards the end. So, I'm trying to, I still get more time than other position groups, but, and really I like to spend, we got 10 minutes of blitz pickup and 10 minutes of crossover. So I really get maybe 20 minutes of indie.
Your contact information back up on the screen real quick, Coach, while I do the little coaches. Don't hesitate to reach out to Coach. Coach's X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, is on the screen. His cell's in there too. Like I said, both if you got more pass game questions, if you got any other O-line or general questions for them, don't hesitate to reach out to them. Like I said earlier, also, like, you got some smart kids who want to be engineers. I mean, I don't know. I think Rose-Hulman's consistently ranked in the top 3 every year, if not 1 most years on engineering. So it's a good place to send your kids as well. Like I said, typically when I listen to past conversations, it's usually either like, here's our slide protection. They talk about that for 40 minutes, or it's here's the technique. It's not necessarily the planning. So I think this was a kind of good little application that Coach brought in. So like I said, don't hesitate to reach out to Coach. And then, Coach, is there anything else before you go?
No, I really appreciate you letting me talk. Obviously, don't hesitate to reach out. Twitter or cell is probably the best way to do it versus the email online. Obviously, just sometimes and whatnot, the emails get kind of lost. So feel free to hit me up on Twitter, send me a text, whatever it might be. I really appreciate it. You let me talk, Coach.
No problem, Coach. Talk to you, and then you have a good rest of your weekend, Coach.
Awesome. You do the same.